Hey guys, we're live, and like always, I'm going to keep this on the screen.
Hi, Dean. How you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
We're going to keep this on the screen because Jesse, I'm going to keep it in the back, but because I'm going to talk to you about Peter Sellers in this video and why this Peter Sellers skit, in a way, this whole thing, it fits into the whole thing. Now let's start off from the get-go.
This morning, I brought up the whole thing because, see, a Christian's going to come out and say, but see, Jesus is different, really? When his mother wanted him to produce some more wine at the wedding at Cana, how did Jesus address his mother? Woman, what do I have to do with you? It's still there even in Jesus' own mouth. Woman, what have I got to do with you? It's disrespectful to his mother, isn't it? By addressing her just as woman.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, wasn't there a point where his family showed up, his mom and his brothers or someone, and he was preaching to the crowds and basically just blew them off?
Basically blew them off, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So don't buy this religious nonsense, Jehovah's Witnesses, because this is designed as gaslighting you. It's a straw man argument that they're trying to present here, that Jehovah values women, when all you have to do is get into that Old Testament and really pick apart the wording and understand that this is just bullshit.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
Now some people, Jesse, will say Mike and Kim and Lloyd Evans and others, just them two, have done a lot of good work in the Jehovah's Witness community, in the ex-Jehovah's Witness field, and we don't need to throw them under the bus like he's throwing Christians and Jesus. We have to honor and respect the work that they have done. That's what a lot of people are going to say, so I'm saying it before anybody else says it. And I got it bad. So you're going to take over.
Yeah. You know what? I used to think like you maybe 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I got over that.
Yeah.
And it's real hard because maybe the beta male in me wants to say, oh, yeah, can't we all get along? We'll go Rodney King. Yeah, they did great work. But when you're in a war of words, a war of ideas, all is fair in love war. You have to understand that your enemy, your opponent, whoever you're arguing with or debating with, they don't really care. Their objective is to outmaneuver you. You have to understand that. Do you think when Muhammad Ali was working out to fight Joe Frazier or George Foreman, he was saying how great George Foreman came up? No, he was looking at what any of his weaknesses are. So beta males act that way and say, oh yeah, John Cedars has done great work, or Mike has done great work. Do you think Watchtower says, you know what, Mike and Kim have done good work, Gilbert and Jesse have done good? Do you think they talk that way about us?
No.
What do they want to do to us?
They want to kill us if they could.
If they could, they would kill us. And you got to understand that this is the premise. So whether I believe what you just said is irrelevant.
You won't say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't say that. I cannot give myself that luxury to say that, because I understand at the end of the day, their objective. Remember what Kim did to you? Instinctively, without questioning, Jane Doe gave her a letter and she goes, I unsubscribe. That's how much the friendship means to you. If she could have done worse, she would have done worse. To instinctively was to unsubscribe from you, which is okay. And we know they don't unsubscribe. We know they listen to everything we say. They're addicted to us.
They're addicted to the GG.
Yeah,
the
Mike is going to do a video reacting. We live in his brain rent free. We're two uppity Mexicans coming up on him. He's losing his religion, like that REM song. He literally is losing his religion. Yeah, he's going against all of Christian. He put bullshit and Jesus in the same context. Who does that in Western civilization? Who does that? I don't even think Cedars does that. I really don't. I can't remember Cedars ever doing that.
Correct. And Cedars quotes Jesus Christ as an authority. I mean, like, as a matter of fact, Jesus said this, and this contradicts the Jehovah's Witness teaching. Yeah. But Mike went farther. He went to the point of saying,
now he could try to correct the issue and say, no, I said Jehovah.
mm-hmm.
Or the Jehovah and Jesus. He tried to correct it, but he did start off with the analogy of Jesus talking to his mom, woman. So clearly he was talking about Jesus. And this is where I'm saying, whether I think Mike did good or not, I really don't care.
Correct.
Really, my job is that you can't put Jesus and bullshit in Western civilization in the same context. It doesn't end well for Western civilization, for an American society, for a free people, when you start throwing Jesus around in bullshit. Mm-hmm.
So what we're saying, correct me if I'm wrong. If you want to be a Jehovah's Witness and stay a Jehovah's Witness, go ahead. Go to jw.org. But jw.org, we know, is an atheist factory producing machine. We've been saying it for a long time. And John Cedars is an evangelical atheist. He's not content with just being an atheist. He wants to, say, join my team. And now, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Mike has become the very thing he hates. We all know the fight between Mike and Lloyd Evans and how he hates him. Okay, you have now become him. You've mentioned that Jesus is bullshit in the same sentence. Jesus disrespected his mom and his brothers. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what angle the Jehovah's Witness goes, what angle Lloyd or Mike go. At the end of the day, they're taking you to a country, a land where people do not believe in Jesus Christ. And that's where the danger lies. And we're going to talk about that. You are anyways.
Yeah, you know what? It's real interesting that on the last video, he called people who believe in the Bible narcissistic and misogynistic. He's throwing half of the planet under the bus. I mean, think about that. Now, I understand the bitter waters that he said. Mike did some great points. And most Christians and most Judaism, Hebrew studies, they don't want to touch Numbers chapter 5. I don't want to touch Numbers chapter 5 from the prism of today's world.
Correct.
But look at this. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And you have to understand everything going on. Living 3,500 years ago, a woman would have more standing or less standing than today.
You would think that a woman would have less standing then than she would have today.
Yeah. Now, you go to other parts of Western civilization, outside of Western civilization. Mm-hmm. Go to Google right now and put in honor killings. And it's going to be littered every day in the news with honor killings all over the planet. And these aren't Western civilizations. There might be one or two in Western civilization, in the Western Hemisphere and Europe and Russia. Mm-hmm. But mostly in the Middle East and the Far East, you'll have honor killings. I've never heard, and this is happening today, every day. I've never heard Mikey do a video against that. Now, 3,500 years ago, there was something interesting happened when he talked about the bitter waters and the judge. Mm-hmm. But it's real interesting that in Scripture, think about it. If this was in another religion, she would have been like in Babylon. She would have been thrown into the raging river. Mm-hmm. Or if she was in Islam 1,400 years ago, she would have been stoned to death without question by men. Mm-hmm. And she would have been in Israeli times stoned to death, like in the time of Jesus Christ. Correct. But here, she was judged by this magic water, this magical holy water, and the dust in it.
But it also depends on. You see, this is where your research is dangerous, because if I've seen the people that do that research, but guess what? There's biblical apologists that people say, hey, look, And they said that one of the great problems with this Numbers 5 things, and they blame it on the NIV Bible, from what I remember correctly on the reading. And they don't even bash the NIV Bible. They just simply state, hey, this is a very bad translation. And right here they say this, and no other Bible uses this phrase, giving the reader the belief, a wrong belief. And they basically said, listen, if God was with the nation of Israel, they were just going to get dirt from the ground in the temple, or they would write it on a paper, they'd burn it, and then the ash would go on the paper. And so it was a drink that wasn't going to cause any harm. The harm is if you're a religious country, a religious a nation, and you believe that God Almighty was with you, then that tonic, it would be God's judgment, because they were talking about, there was not a second, a third, or a fourth. There were no witnesses. They were talking about a very jealous husband.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is that you could, in the research section, I'm not even going to go into that a lot, but there's a lot of people that are saying, hey, whoa, you guys are blowing this way out of proportion. Any man could have also drunk it. The high priest could have drank it with a woman. But it was saying, if we are by divine governance, then the judge who is the witness will make that decision and not us. And in a way, you could say that honors the woman, because she's now being protected against the false accusations of her jealous husband. What if the husband is just jealous and he wants to get rid of her so he can marry another woman? And because there's no witnesses. So what I'm trying to say is what you're always saying, like what Mike makes the argument, is that there's two sides to every coin. So Mike makes the argument, but he will not go on 6 screens and talk to Jay Hess and company and debate this subject, because Mike is an angry old man who can't have a civil debate on this subject. And all I'm saying is Mike is angry. He's going to start yelling and screaming, damn the Old Testament. And the 2 other guys in the JW 6 screens of the Watchtower are going to say, keep your shirt on, Mike. It's not as bad as you think. And I've had this very discussion with Apostle Baby Linda James and others, where they get mad about Elisha. The guy goes, I can't believe that a God would allow his prophet to hurt those children. About 3 weeks later, I've been thinking about it, but the guy got back on the show and I gave him an explanation. He goes, yo, but I've never heard an explanation like yours. It's like, just calm down. Because, but the premise of my explanation was real simple. You and I never lived 3,500 years ago. And we don't know how bad it was. And we can't just be judging it like if we are experts on the field. We can't watch 10 YouTube videos and be experts on what it was like to live 3,500 years ago.
And here's the thing. Did you notice that when we were talking about this at the beginning of the video, we didn't use the word research. I didn't research this. I said do a Google search.
Yeah.
Research, just a simple search. And I'm just talking about common sense things here. I'm not going into Numbers chapter 5. I'm not I don't have all these books behind me, and I don't think I don't wear a ponytail. I don't dye my hair. I'm just coming at you at common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I am what I am. And common sense dictates that Mike and the Mechanic song, every generation blames the one before when all of their frustrations come beating at their door. This guy is frustrated. So he's beating up mom and dad from 3,500 years ago. These are classic mommy issues.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out in their brain. These guys were hurt by their mom and dad. And so they're going to take it out on these men who were misogynistic 3,500 years ago. And they're blaming all of us who have faith in the Bible or profess to have faith in Christ as misogynistic and narcissistic. That's a quote. He said that. Think about that. You're talking about Abraham Lincoln. You're talking about George Washington. You're talking about Sandra Day O'Connor. You're talking about Barack Obama. You're talking about all these men who profess believe in God. Martin Luther King. We're all narcissistic and misogynistic. John F. Kennedy. So stop and think. Like you said, calm down. I know you have passion, but tone it down a notch. Tone it down, baby. Learn to. Yeah.
And even great thinkers and great scientists who are not atheists, but are agnostic. Like you're just think of just all the names that go through your head. You could have an intelligent conversation with them about just the words of Gandhi about the Sermon on the Mount and how powerful the words of the Sermon on the Mount are to mankind. And even these scientists, even though I'm an agnostic, they'll say, yeah, they'll concede, yeah, these words are very powerful. That if when Gandhi told the Viceroy of England, when your country can put into practice the words of Jesus on the Christ on the Sermon on the Mount, we will not have already solved our problems, but that of the entire world. There's not an intelligent human being, whether he's an intelligent person who just cleans the streets, collects trash, or he's a NASA scientist. It doesn't matter. Everybody in between can say, yeah, what Gandhi said is true. The words of the Sermon on the Mount are so powerful when I read it that if all of us just try to do this, we would get rid of a lot of our problems. That's all. It's just a simple conversation. You can't have this conversation with angry old men. You can't. Because he's going to go into an argument about Numbers 5. He's going to call Jesus a misogynist, disrespecting his mother. And it's a lose-lose proposition. And all we're saying is that there's a win-win proposition. And every time you just keep it very simple. And you say, just keep it simple with the teachings of Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. You don't have to baptize anybody, but at least you can have peace. At least you can build. You can build friendships. You can build families. You can build countries and states. You can build things because you're part of a Western civilized society.
Yeah. And you know what? I was in a Constitution class today, Arizona Constitution class at school, and one of the articles in the Constitution talks about in judgment of somebody, you can't contaminate the blood, the person. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean in the Constitution, the Arizona Constitution, about contaminating the blood?
You help me.
It means that you don't hold in judgment children or parents or cousins accountable for your sins or for your crimes. Every person is responsible under the law. Now, there are some exceptions for minors and people in your house and that. Mm-hmm. But basically, every adult has to answer for his or her actions. And what we have here is we have some people who like to judge an entire nation and an entire body of thought for an error in the lineage. Let me give you an example. Another example of this. The United States Constitution. When it was drafted, how did it treat African American people?
As 3/5.
As 3/5 of a citizen, slaves. A lot of people, rightfully so, consider that our original sin, slavery, our original sin. And we paid for that. But we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, there's a school of thought of people who cannot be satisfied, who hold the United States still in contempt. You know, the other day there was talk about sacrifice of Jesus Christ's body. Well, we as an American nation did the same thing. We paid with the blood of our soldiers, of our children, Confederate and Union, for our original sin. Mm-hmm. And then those who broke away and caused all this civil war and this strife, Lincoln forgave them, pardoned them all. No courts, no justice, no hangings for all of their sins. We didn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We come from a great lineage of thinking men. We fight things out, we talk about it, but we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Aren't we grateful that we have men like that who can fight things out? And at the end of the day, it's over. We resolve. Once we kick your ass, like the other day, Mike kicked your ass. Remember in that video? When he went Will Smith on you? At the end of the day, you forgave him because he had a great point.
Yes.
And we discuss it like men. Now, he says that, can I talk about this word he brings up? Passion?
Go ahead. Passion.
Now, you called him a bitter old man, an angry old man.
Yeah, my word.
Okay. On that one, I will have to, man, I'm going to sound like a beta male here. I agree with you, and I agree with Mike. Mm-hmm. Can I explain?
Explain.
Passion, the definition of passion, one of the definitions, many definitions of passion, is an almost uncontrollable emotion. An almost uncontrollable emotion. You and I, Christians in Western civilization, we've always understood passion to be a positive context, a positive. For example, when we, being Mexican Americans, we were around our mom and dad who were always dancing.
Yes.
And they were always listening to passionate love music, the greats of the past. And when they came to America, they were always listening to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. But in Mexico, passion was usually with that of lovers, associated with that of lovers. Husband and a wife are lovers. In the Christian circles, we associate passion with the passion that Christ had. He had an almost uncontrollable emotion to do his Father's will. Along comes Mikey and he says, no, you're misinterpreting my bitterness. It's passion. I have passion. And you know what? I agree with him. I agree. He has an almost uncontrollable emotion, but his passion goes to the negative side, to tear down Moses. Because of number 5, I must tear down Moses. Because of Jesus called his mom woman, I must tear down Jesus. And use him bullshit in the context of Jesus Christ. See, so they do have a passion. You could see it. You could see it in their face, their emotion. When a person is hurting and is in pain, you could see it, and you could see it in Mike's face. Just do a snapshot when he's talking, and you see anger. It comes out. It boils over. He has a passion for tearing down, not building up. That is the beauty of Christ. Beauty of Christ, he elevated the human race. He even elevated Mary. Mary being associated with Jesus Christ, so he called her woman. But now Mary's name is honored throughout all of land. And pretty soon we're going to have Christmas trees and Christmas lights. And we're going to have Mary still remembered. So he does honor Mary. But because he called her woman, you want to throw him out and call it bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
You know, in America, we have a tradition that Barbara Anderson talked about. Not Barbara Anderson. Man, I forget her name. The country singer. I beg your pardon.
Mm-hmm.
I never promised you a rose garden. Mike wants to think that this world is a rose garden. He wants to talk about the bitter gardens. Why doesn't he attack Islam right now for the honor killings?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to protect women. There's women suffering right now. There's Christians suffering all over the world right now, today. But he wants to be the defender of women, and somehow he is empowered by women. He's surrounded by, yeah, Mike, you tell them. He has this passion to beat up Christians. You know, so it's in a negative context. I just noticed that.
Yeah. Or the poor women that are in the Chinese wombs. But then when they find out that they're Chinese, remember a decade ago? All of the women being
and who's really misogynistic? Let me just, you said there's two sides to every coin. Let's talk about misogyny. Misogyny, and I wrote down the definition. It says contempt for or prejudice against women or girls. When Jane Doe came onto your video and she gave her point of view, we immediately treated her as a peer.
An equal,
not as a woman or a guy. We fought her like if she was any of our friends and argued with her. And then we both said our piece and we both respect each other. We fought and now we're friends. We like each other. She's a very intelligent woman.
Yeah.
But Mike thinks she can't handle herself. Kim thinks that Jane Doe, who really is the misogynistic? Remember how they always say, who really is God? Who really is Moses? Yeah. What does the Bible really teach? Who really is the misogynist here?
Yeah.
Jane Doe can take care of herself. She's a grown woman. She puts her pants on just like any other man.
Mm-hmm. Or woman,
Or woman, pantsuit on.
Yeah.
You know, so we treated her, we fought her. She went into the arena of ideas. We argued, we discussed, we talked. But why does Mike feel that he has to go Will Smith on us? Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not misogyny. Maybe he has a
YouTube got me on that. YouTube says you have to take that down. Because I took the picture of there's another guy who had the Will Smith on his cell phone. I could have used that one. But since I used a different one, YouTube says, hey, you're not in trouble. Just, you got to take that part down. But yeah, he went Will Smith.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to share about passion. You know, I do believe, I do believe when he said that he has a passion, I do believe it. But I have always seen it in a positive, loving, uplifting context. And misogyny can go, I mean, passion can go the other way around. Like, for instance, Vladimir Lenin, he had a passion when he was building the Soviet Union. Adolf Hitler, he had a passion when he was killing the Jews. You know, so there is a passion in the negative side too.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to Jesse about about that passion, because going back to this picture, if I disagree with JW.org, Mike, or Lloyd, they're all atheist factory machines, and at the end of the day, they want to destroy you, get you out of, get the hell out of here, and just, it's my way or the highway. Which, can't blame them. I mean, it's, if they build an infrastructure, they don't want us trespassing there. The difference with the difference with Christians all over the world, I may not be part of their church, and I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church and stuff. But I respect everybody. I respect everybody's First Amendment right to go to church, to believe in God, and have that dialogue. But I wanted you to kind of elaborate on that, about when you're talking about Lenin, how there was a lot of people that also wanted to be part of a revolution, to join forces, but he's like, no, 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 no. He wanted everybody dead that didn't think lock, step, and barrel with him. Did you remember we were talking about that?
Yeah. You know, when Barack Obama was running for president, people who follow history, like, for instance, I watched a lot of religious people and politicians lately in the arena of ideas, and when they quote a news agency like Reuters, and they said, "Did you see what they said in Reuters?" Yeah. You could tell that politician or that Christian person or that commentator or apostate, whatever, he's a novice in the arena of ideas, because Reuters has been around for decades and decades, and they're calling it Reuters. That means they haven't been around in the debate, but they want to tell you everything. They know everything, but they call Reuters. So that shows you that they're not keenly aware of history, the context of history. The other day, a couple of years ago, when Barack Obama was running for president, I think around 2007, 2000, he said something interesting, that the person who has followed history, followed politics all their lives, he said, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." And everybody clapped like seals. What did he mean by that? Well, you got to understand, when a person is running for president, he really believes that the nation cannot survive without them. That's how passionate they are. In the beginning of the 20th century in Russia and the end of the 19th century, there were many communist factions. There were many socialist factions. There was the liberals. There was the social democrats. There was the Bolsheviks, the Mensheviks. There was so many. There was probably 100 little factions all over. But Lenin was so passionate in his worship of Karl Marx and his worship of the Communist Party and the revolution, that he didn't care about nobody else. He didn't care about you and I. He didn't care about his wife. I don't believe he was married. I think they had a common law marriage, but he didn't agree. So when him and Trotsky or some of his comrades were talking, and they would say, like you did, "Hey, you got to remember the good work they did." Lenin said, "No, no, 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 no. It doesn't matter what you think. It's how you act." The whole thing was the objective, the elimination of the Tsar and the bourgeois, and the establishment of the revolution and an ongoing revolution. And that's what we have here. We have a passion to tear down the institutions of Western civilization. We have a passion to tear down the state. The Jehovah's Witnesses do that. They're always tearing down Satan's organization, Satan's organization, Satan's organization. We have Mikey calling Jesus in the context bullshit. Now, he didn't call Jesus bullshit, but he used Jesus and bullshit in the same. This is something that free men don't do. This is something. Then look at the Passion of Lloyd. Look at the Passion of Lloyd. Look up in YouTube and go and put Lloyd homosexuality. He must do like 100 videos. And I know it's not 100 videos, but I mean a lot of videos obsessed with that. That he really believes in that. Why? Why? Because that takes you away from what the Bible teaches you. It takes you away from the man that made Western civilization. The basic building block of Western civilization is a father and a mother and the babies, and they procreate and they create a family. The basic building blocks are a family. So a lot of these people have to tear down the old and build up this new man. That's what Watchtower does. Now, I don't think Mikey's doing it on purpose, but he's fallen into that trap. He can't look in the mirror with all his rage and see, I'm tearing down the institutions that made our society great. Can you imagine living before the American Revolution when we had a serfdom? You know, when we did the Declaration of Independence and we all talk about, did you know that there was a response to the Declaration of Independence? King George wrote back and he said, no, you don't understand. And I'm paraphrasing, and I'm using not the Queen's English, but I'm using my Mexican-American dialect here. Yeah. But he said something to the effect that, no. You were born into serfdom, and I was born to be your king. The concept of freedom was foreign to his head. He couldn't understand the concept of American freedom and liberty. There was something foreign to him. What we're saying, we here in the America think different than Lenin. We think different than Jehovah. We think different than the Watchtower. We think different than Mike and Kim. We think different than Lloyd. We hold Moses to be sacred. We hold Jesus to be sacred. Now, are we saying that they're perfect and you have to follow it the way we say it? No, but they got us to the dance. And we honor our dead. We honor our dead, or the fathers and brothers before us. That's why we have Veterans Day. That's why we have Labor Day. That's why we have Thanksgiving Day. We honor those before us. We don't tear them down. We know they're not perfect. We know they really messed up with the original sin of slavery. We know, and we know we paid a price for it in the Civil War. We understand that. And if there's a restitution, then so be it. But there is a price to pay. But we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater in Western civilization.
Now, the reason why Mike is an angry old man and has thrown Jesus under the bus and referred to Jesus and horseshit in the same sentence, along with the Old Testament and the rest of the Bible, is because of this. And I've been preaching this for years.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And I know a lot of you are going to say, that's so simple. I know. Keep it simple. It's uncontrolled anger. Every single buddy I talk to is ex-Jehovah's Witness is angry. And we all say, hey, we understand. We totally understand that you're angry because Watchtower pulled the wool over your eyes. But uncontrolled anger is going to take you to hate. People say, I hate Watchtower. And uncontrolled hate is going to take you to suffering. And what I'm saying is when you're an angry old man like Mike, who hates Moses, hates the Old Testament, hates Trinitarians, hate people that go to church, hate people that espouse Christianity. You sound like the Jehovah's Witnesses who hate Christmas, who hate prom dance, who hate high school reunions. Tell me something that the Jehovah's Witnesses don't hate. It leads you to the road of destruction. And so what good is for me to have all of this knowledge and all, like I said in the last video, what good is for me to try to impress you with all these Bible texts and verses and everything else if it's going to lead you down a road of hate? You know, if it doesn't lead you to love, you need to get off of that road. So this road isn't leading me to the road of love. It's leading me down the road of hate. Now, speaking of that, because Julian Watson says, you nailed it, guys. Julian Watson has a good friend who had a fight with Mike and Kim, and his name is Gus Estacio. Now, we love Gus Estacio, and Gus Estacio is a big time, religious guy, church going, family man. He's going 1,000 miles an hour in his church. Good for him. God bless him for everything he's doing. He works like 3 jobs. Just great. So my criticism of Gus Estacio was when you're dealing with people like Lloyd Evans and Watchtower and Mike, when you're dealing with people who hate God, who hate Jesus, who hate the Bible, you're not going to win any argument by quoting Numbers 5 and Matthew 6. you can't engage in that game. You can't.
Yeah,
You just go ahead. Go ahead.
John Lennon said, if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow.
Correct.
Yeah, you're not gonna win that game arguing Bible with these men. Mm-mm.
Yeah, you're never going to win arguing the Bible with Watchtower, Mike, and Lloyd. What you do is, like Jesus says, every tree gives a good fruit. Every tree, gives bad fruit. You have to decide. Mike is going to say that Jesus gave bad fruit. But Jesse, he has close to 250 million people just in this place alone that disagree with him.
Yeah, and you know what? Think about it. We're coming on Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and you say that what leads to anger and how does that
Fear
go?
leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Okay, suffering. These people that hate the Bible, there's no joy in Mudville.
Yeah.
There's no joy. A joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. Let heaven and nature sing. You're going to go for a coffee. You're going to be surrounded by merriment. You're going to be surrounded by Christians in the United States. If you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't going to make it with anyone anyhow. Mm-hmm. You know what? You're going to be suffering because you're going to want to hang Christmas ornaments on your videos. And people are going to say, hey, didn't you just call Jesus bullshit, but now you have Christmas paraphernalia all over your house? Which is it? It's one or the other. If you're going to call Jesus bullshit, then don't hang up a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah.
That's the suffering part. And here's the thing. You mentioned that about the song. Tomorrow in Southern California, I know because I was talking to a girl. I don't think she's here, but it was Nadine from Southern California. And I told her tomorrow, guess what they're having by Southern California? Handel's Messiah. And Handel's Messiah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And then also a couple of about 30 minutes before that in Handel's Messiah, it says and he shall reign forevermore. It's really neat how they do it, and then in next week the 14th, 15th, the 14th through 17th here in the Phoenix Symphony, they're going to be having Handel's Messiah even in Spanish. It was such a this Handel's Messiah was done such a long time ago. I think it's like over 300 years ago, 400 years ago. And now, or I think it was more because it was like in the Baroque period. So that would have put it about 500 years. But anyways, the Spanish love it so much that they had it translated. And so people like this, people like JW.org, Mike and Kim, and John and John Cedars, if they had their way, they would get rid of Handel's Messiah. They would get rid of everything that is holy and pure. And that's what we're saying. You've gone down the wrong road and you can't see it. It's the road of anger and it's the road of hate. Nobody judges anybody badly for having hate and anger for what Watchtower did to them. But uncontrolled hate and uncontrolled anger is going to take you down the road to hell. And all of your good intentions are going to pave that road, is what I'm saying.
Gilbert, I think Thomas Sowell, correct me if I'm wrong, or was it Walter Williams? But I believe Thomas Sowell, he explained it this way. He says, in the 50s, we were all smokers, but we were all moral men.
Mm-hmm.
Today, nobody smokes, and we're all immoral.
Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell was the one who said that. And that's what we're saying about Christmas. Look at the experiment. The United States is an experiment in self-government. It's unique to the planet. It's unique in the human experience. Where King George, he goes, wait a second. I was born to be king. You were born to be serfs. And we said, no. We have something running in our blood. It's a Christian blood that ran out of the Netherlands, that ran out of France, that swam across the border, like the Mexicans coming over the border. And we come to this land called freedom. The dominion of the free, the land of the free, home of the braves, a dominion that runs in our blood. And we say, no. We're not born to be serfs. We're born to be free. Along come these Jehovah's Witnesses and say, you know what? You guys are a group of people that are worshiping your God, the flag. We won't do the flag salute. And I say that's a cancer cell. Because look what's happened to America now that people don't salute the flag. And then the Jehovah's Witnesses, no, don't you know that the Christmas tree is pagan? It doesn't end with these people. They're like little communists. They're always tearing down the institutions of America. This is what got us to the dance. Everything collectively. Baseball got us to the dance. The Christmas tree got us to the dance. John Wayne got us. These are all the customs and traditions of the American people. We don't tear none of them down. Was John Wayne perfect? Was he a racist? Was he misogynistic? Yes, but he still are misogynistic. Look, do I agree with Sandra Day O'Connor? She just died yesterday. No, I didn't agree with her everything. But she was our first female from our state of Arizona woman Supreme Court. It was something that we are proud of. She is uniquely American. And what we're saying is Christmas is uniquely American. Jesus is a uniquely traditional belief that the Americans have. Moses is foundational. You go along cities and you have the 10 Commandments. There are people now that want to tear them up. Look at the Jehovah's Witnesses tearing up the flag salute. What do you think is happening to the schools now? The insane are running the asylum. I like it the old day when we were all saluting the flag better, when there was a sense of discipline. Now everybody has no discipline. It's like in the 50s. We were all moral, but we all smoked. We're going to get rid of the smoke, but now we're all immoral. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Getting rid of Moses, getting rid of Jesus is not a world where I want to live in. I'd rather live in a world without Mikey than a world without Jesus.
Yeah.
And Mikey's train of thought. Because look, the way Mikey thinks, the Soviet Union went down that route. Cuba went down that route. Nicaragua went down that route. China is in that route. There's something in the blood. Remember I told you that if somebody who was radiation came here and then he left, we can get a Geiger counter maybe 2,000, 3,000 years later and go, hey, he was standing right here. Because there's residual energy. What I'm saying is Christmas is residual energy. Freedom is residual energy that burns in the hearts of men. Was it right always? Do we have a right understanding? Of course not. We weren't right when we built the Constitution. We sinned against our African-American brothers. We sinned. That was our original sin. And we had to pay a price for it as a nation.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, I don't know if you have anything else to say if you wrote down in your comments, but I'm just I know this would be a little silly, but I wanna bring this out because Mike and people like of this thought of, you know, misogynistic and everything, they really are what we call cancel culture. They want to cancel you because they think that you're misogynistic. So they actually want. So and I've said this before. I'm going to put it right here. So this is what Watchtower and Mike is espousing. Let's flush you down the toilet because you believe in Jesus. And they talk about you like you're an idiot. And they're willing to get rid of you. And this cancel culture is dangerous. And you said, I would rather live. I would happy to live without Mike. I don't want to live anywhere near him. I don't want to go to a party where he's at. Because this is what Mike, because I pulled up a history of what I was watching yesterday on my YouTube feed. And here it is.
Love you when you were sweet, when you were sweet, 16.
Mike would have a field day. How dare you, Gilbert, be a misogynist? Well, how dare you sing that song, I Love You When You Were Sweet 16? This one is even better.
And by the dumber they come, the better I like them, because the dumb ones know how to make love. Oh, the dumber they come, the better I like them, because the dumb ones know how to make love.
That's right. He's taught, and then there's a movie where he's actually singing with a bunch of girls. And the girls agree. Yeah, I don't want to be around the smart girls. I want to be around the dumb ones because the dumb ones know how to make love. Mike and Kim's head will explode when they see that.
Hey,
And
Gilbert,
then, hold
if
on,
you
I'm
See, I had a mustache as cute as a pup. Susie kissed me, and she burned a darn thing up. If you knew Susie like I know Susie, oh, what a girl!
Gilbert knows Susie. What a freaking misogynistic asshole Gilbert is. And then if I was friends with Mike, and I don't want to be friends with Mike, because I would have to stop listening to Frank Sinatra.
Father, with people she'd hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. Doesn't like crap.
He's the manager of the movie My Pal Joey. And you know what happens at the end? They didn't like this girl because the band is trying to get ready for the show, but she's a high-class dame. She thinks that she's the shit because she's pretty and she has a nice body. So they said, okay, we're going to give you, she wants a pre-show before the show. And the manager there that's bouncing his head is like, oh God, I'm going to give it to her because she's so rich. And she's a high roller in the casino. At the end of that song, the band goes away. And guess who walks away with this beautiful, voluptuous woman? Frank Sinatra, man. She has the hots for him now. So much for misogyny. You see, this misogyny shit and this, all that stupid words. I would rather be with Frank Sinatra. I'd rather be with Al Jolson. I'd rather be with all of these people than to be around people that do the cancel culture. And that's all it is. It's cancel culture.
No, it's classic Marxism. You got to understand. This has been around for a long time. It was probably around in biblical times. But these people, at the end of the day, are hypocrites because you think they don't engage in misogynistic jokes when they're alone at their parties or when they're having a fire. Look, do you remember the movie The Deer Hunter? And in The Deer Hunter, Christopher Walken, when he is in Vietnam, now the communists, they were agrarian communists in Vietnam. They were the lowest form of communism when they were returned to the land. Now they had a elimination of the money, and they believed that money belonged to the bourgeoisie. They hated capitalists, capitalist pigs. They hated people who engaged in profiteering. They called us right-wingers. So they were 100% dedicated to communism where everybody was equally miserable. When they had American soldiers in The Deer Hunter, they start gambling when they're playing Russian roulette over the lives of the American soldiers. They're engaging in classic capitalism. These people who talk about misogyny, what do they do in their private parties, private jokes? Yeah. Come on, man. We're all sinners. And that's the beautiful thing about Christians. We know our place. We're all sinners. When they say, hey, Jesse, you're misogynistic, touche, baby. Yeah. And you know what the American public did when you took your wife to go see Eddie Cantor? You know what they shouted in the 20s and 30s? We want Cantor. We want men and women.
Yeah, the women loved them.
They were so uptight. Their panties weren't in a knot.
That's the thing. Mike's panties, I'm going to say it. Mike's panties are in a wad. Dude, get over yourself. And Joe talks about it, about spirituality or lack of it, blinds people in love. It's the two extremes. Mention your religion, and that begins the separation wars. It is. And that's why my message is so superior to Mike's. Keep it simple. God is your father. You're his son. Accept your birthright. When you know that God is your father, you know that you're more than a human being. You're a spirit person. We treat each other with love and respect. And if it means you have to throw blows because you're brothers, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you're brothers and sisters. It's not worth, like he says, Joe, going to wars and separating. All I'm saying is I don't want to go to a party where a guy's telling me that Jesus is disrespecting his mom. I don't want to hang out with people like that. I want to hang out with people like Frank Sinatra, who can swing, baby. But you're throwing everybody down the bus and you're competing. And this is the problem with Lloyd Evans too. It's not so much that you're an atheist. It's you're now like a Jehovah's Witness atheists. You are trying to recruit people into your atheism.
I call it
Stop
evangelical atheism.
He's evangelical about it. Just stop it already. If somebody wants to believe in God, that's fine. Our argument with the JW.org is real simple. The Jehovah's Witness is not a religion. They're using the First Amendment of the United States, freedom of religion, as their cover. They get this concept that they have. The Jehovah's Witnesses have a concept, whatever it is, and then they say, how can we get this Bible to fit our story? They do it in reverse. But they use the United States Constitution and the laws to enrich themselves, not because they really want to advance the freedom of religion and the freedom of thought and the freedom of speech. Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to advance no freedom of speech. So what we're saying, so my fight with Watchtower is that. So I don't have it. I thought I had it. I was going to say this is why this is why my message is superior, and I'm proud of my. Oh, I don't have it. It was, you know what? It was, remember that scene where she's telling Forrest Gump, "Run, Forrest, run!" And then when Forrest is running, all of the shackles start to fall off. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Is, let me see if I can find. Why can I find it? Here it is. Oh, because I misspelled it.
Hey, dummy!
Oh,
Just plain stupid.
this is our message.
I'm Forrest Gump. Just run away, Forrest. Run, Forrest! Run away! Hurry! Get the brakes!
So I'm gonna mute it a little bit so that way I can get the copyright guys off of me.
Run, Forrest, run!
And he's running, and everything starts to fall off. So that's why in my message I say, when you accept the fact that you're more than a human being, you accept the fact that your birthright, that you have every right in the universe. It's yours. The universe is yours. Accept it. Be part of the family and run. But I'm not telling you to be an atheist. I'm not telling you to get baptized. I'm not telling you got to think this way. I will tell you what I believe and why I believe it. But nowhere am I going to say that because you believe in Jesus Christ that's a bunch of bullshit or horseshit. I'm not going to tell you that Moses is horseshit or doesn't exist. I'm not going to poop on your parade. Run, get the hell out of Watchtower and run. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I differ from you because I think that Watchtower had so much given to them.
Yes.
They took their talent and they buried it in the ground. John Lennon and Yoko Ono said, all we are saying is give peace a chance. What I'm saying, all we are saying is give Jesus a chance. Now, I'm like you. I don't care if you don't accept Jesus. I don't care if you don't go to church. That's none of my business. I respect that. But there's something happening in time and space and beyond time and space, to quote the great Winston Churchill. And you see that when a man walks through the battlefield like Abraham Lincoln, a non-believer or an agnostic, and he believes, he feels the spirit. Or when you get great men of today, like you get Jordan Peterson or Elon Musk or Tucker Carlson, men who don't specifically believe in any religion.
Yeah.
Then they start to become religion. When something happening in space and time and space, which whether you like it or not spells duty. We have a duty. Now the Christians have a duty to turn the other cheek. We're not Christian priests. We can throw blows. We can cuss. We can scream. I'm not saying I'm a saint or an apostle. I'm just a believer. And if Mike wants to fight, I'll fight. I can go down that road, but I'm not bitter. All I'm saying is you got involved in an organization called the Watchtower. Watchtower had a responsibility to take people to Christ. Isn't it funny? And isn't it a coincidence that so many of the disciples, former disciples of Watchtower, now are turning against Jesus and turning other people against Jesus? And what I'm saying here, as a member of American society, Western civilization, I am not going to surrender to Christ. You say don't surrender your wingman. I say Jesus is our wingman. I'm not saying the Catholic Church or the Baptist Church.
And we're saying that this is not a coincidence that the JW.org religion produces that.
All I'm saying is that all men are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Everybody has a right to choose because you know what, you're going to go to church and you're going to see a Christian who's full of shit. I understand that. So you go to another church, but you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't condemn other people because they believe.
Now
Lynn Anderson. It was Lynn Anderson who said, I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden.
Now, this is my research.
Yeah.
You know what this is? This is my research paper. And when I do research, I turn it into my teacher at school. And my teacher grades. And let's throw down. I'm going to throw down with Mike. Mike is always talking about his research. I say, don't research. But Mike is always talking a good game about research. I research this. I research this. So Mike saw 20 videos on YouTube and he read a book. He's well researched. But he never took it to a professor to get graded. And when you're an adult and you no longer go to school, it goes to your peers and it gets peer reviewed. So why doesn't Mike take his argument on Numbers 5? And I'm not even a Bible scholar, but I just looked it up on a website that I like. And it's like, okay, I like the explanation I got. Why doesn't he take it up to 6 screens? And why doesn't he battle Jay Hess? I tell you why, because he has a ponytail. Gilbert, how dare you insult him? Because listen, because you see this all the time.
He's Pocahontas.
Badass. I'm a badass. I got a biker jacket. I'm a tattooed guy that says mom right here. I'm a badass. Well, if you're such a badass, go on the debate stage with Jay Hess. That's what I'm saying.
He's become Pocahontas.
Don't go around. Don't go and say that in Job chapter 48, we're going to invalidate God's justice, pronounce God wicked, and I'm right, but you can't fight back. And I'm not going to join the ring. I'm saying, I know I can get my ass kicked for doing these videos. He says, Gilbert, you're 100% wrong, and I can get an ass kicking. I understand that. It comes with the territory, and that's why a lot of people don't want to make videos. But they're like, I'm not an expert in this. I don't want to get a royal ass kicking. Well, I can totally respect that. But if Mike wants to, if Mike is so damn proud of his research, go talk to Jay Hess. He would love to have a discussion with you, but he can't because he's an angry old man who can't keep his composure. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm getting old, man. I'm not afraid to say it anymore. So I'm going to tell you, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're watching this, leave. And I stated my case. My case is better. Accept your birthright. Run. And if you just run like Forrest Gump, your life is going to be great. But if you stick around and listen to all that Mike stuff and you listen to all that Lloyd stuff, it doesn't produce good fruit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is that at the end of the day, they take you from Jesus. They take you from Jesus, and that's the whole problem. And we have almost an obligation as citizens of Western civilization to say, no, wait. We can't do that because that's a moral decay of our society. We can't. This is a line that we will not cross. This is our line in the sand. No, we're not going to associate Jesus with what's that bullshit. No, this is a recipe for, this is suicide of civilization. This is civilization comment. I mean, this is DEFCON 5, man, stuff. Jesus as bullshit? Come on, tone it down a little bit.
Tone it down. Samurai George is trying to scare me. Saying good luck. The biggest insult you could do to Mike is compare him to Lloyd. Mike was holding back because I think he likes you. He won't be holding back. No, Mike don't like me. No, we discussed that at the very beginning of the show. People that are the communist mindset want to destroy the hell out of you. Have you listened to how Lloyd Evans, way back in the day, how he was just ripping in on everybody that was trying to be nice to him? You guys saw that. Now anybody that tries to call Mike out and says, Mike, how dare you say that Jesus insulted Mary? He's going to treat you the exact same way Watchtower and Lloyd Evans. And all I'm saying is to Lloyd and I'm saying to Mike is repent. Because of all of the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses out there, I am the only one, not my brother Jesse, I am the only one that shows love to Mike and Kim, and I'm the only one that shows love to Lloyd. All of you other guys want to play it safe. But no, I'm speaking love because I'm saying repent.
Yeah.
Just say sorry. I'm sorry saying that Jesus disrespected his mom, Mary.
You know what, Gilbert? I have to defer. I thought like you did 50 years ago. And
50
I told
years
you
ago,
the
yeah.
thing. When I was a baby, I thought like you, that love it can. You have to understand, the world is governed by men who want to see you dead.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, misogynists rule the world. If you think that you can make a law and legislate love, if you think you can love, you're going to have a Judas Iscariot at your side. And so, listen, if you like, I know what you're saying about that. You love Mike and you love Lloyd. I understand that. But don't repeat it, is what I'm saying. And I'm not telling you what to do. I wouldn't. Because you have to understand, when you enter the arena of ideas, these men want you destroyed.
Yes.
Do you think that they're going to say, you know what, Gilbert has done 700 videos and he's done real good? No.
Yeah.
They're going to do anything to destroy you. So it's better to be like Jesus and keep your mouth shut. Did you know, I told you, you know why I believe Jesus is God? Now, it took Thomas, Thomas had to feel the hole in Jesus' hands. And he believed Jesus to be divine nature. When Jesus was receiving a whooping by Pontius Pilate's men, and they were tearing at his skin.
Go ahead.
When Jesus had passion, he didn't say a word because he knew there was going to be guys 2,000 years later on YouTube criticizing every word. He went to a party one time. Jesus went to a party and made some liquor, some wine.
Uh-huh.
And he says, what do I got to do with you, woman? And now you got these know-it-all guys criticizing Jesus, calling them misogynists. Imagine if Jesus would have told Pontius Pilate, hey, tone it down a little bit on my whooping. Can you imagine what they would have been saying? Jesus couldn't take it.
So Jesus was invited to a wedding 2,000 years ago. Fast forward 2,000 years, and
we're
people
criticizing his words.
Are criticizing.
So Jesus knew that no matter what he said, any word he said can and would be used against him.
So the message to Samurai George: it doesn't matter what we say. The fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Lloyd Evans, Mike and Kim in the Watchtower are consumed with hate. They hate the Bible, their words. They hate the New Old Testament. They hate Jesus. Well, I'm not going to say Lloyd Evans hates Jesus. I'm not going to go that far. No, because I don't think I've ever heard him say anything like that.
And I don't think
Mike hates Jesus, but man, to put him in the words with I'll take that back too. To put the words like bullshit, that deserves an apology to everybody.
Now, I think Watchtower hates Jesus. I don't think Kim, Mike, and Lloyd hate Jesus. I don't. But
no, I take that back.
It
You're right.
wasn't proper to use Jesus in our society that we live in, especially today, where all the institutions of Western civilization are being attacked, to use Jesus and bullshit in the same context. It's not proper.
Jesse, A Bug's Life says, Christian Miranda writes, that's great stuff, GG. No, that's great stuff, Jesse. Because you know what she's referring to this. That's how Mike and Kim are watching this video. They're doing that.
No, a lot of people.
She's talking about this. She's talking about that.
Yeah, and this is what I say. I really believe that if Jesus would have said anything, and everything Jesus does confirms to me, in my opinion, and I'm not evangelical about it, that to me, Jesus is God. There's no way a human can do this, especially the creator of these people, and not say a word. When we're being accused of something, we always go on the defensive, instinctively as human beings. Jesus was getting his flesh torn out of him.
Yeah.
He didn't say a word because he knew people were going to dissect his words. He knew the creation because he's the creator. We're always critical of everything. We even call ourselves critics. We call ourselves critical thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Our divine creator speaks to us and we criticize him.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And speaking of criticism, we're going to get criticism. I'm going to get criticism. You know, Gilbert, how dare you say that you have a better message? I'm looking at my message right there on the wall. You can see it on ggforgb.com. And I talk about freedom. I talk about being part of a universal family, you know, and I talk about repentance. I talk about a lot of things. And I also talk about right there an exclamation, Gilbert is right.
Gilbert, I think it's proper to sum it all up.
Yeah.
In a great American. Let's
Yes.
get his quote. Let's end this on John F. Kennedy's quote that we hold this to be true. Now, this is not law. This is the opinion of one man, the great American John F. Kennedy. And listen to him. A lot of times we don't listen because our mouth is open. We can't use our ears and our eyes. But look at, can you read that?
No, you read it. I'm looking for something else.
Okay, it says, even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. Once again, we'll close with this. Moses is our tradition, right or wrong. Lynn Anderson, I beg your pardon. I didn't promise you a rose garden. Billy Joel says, it's my life. Mm-hmm. You can say what you want, but not on my time. John F. Kennedy is saying that. This is our country. Moses is part of our country. The bitter waters is a part of our country. This is the bad thing that we did. When we called African Americans 3/5 of a human being, that was bad. It was something that we did. We have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. But it is part of our nation, the good and the bad. We take the good and the bad. Like when a married couple, you through the good and the bad.
For better, for worse.
For better or for worse. We did wrong, we have to pay. But the traditions of our country, it's no good if we survive, if we don't have Moses, if we don't have Jesus. Nothing good is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're telling Mike and Kim and John Cedars. America will be like Rome. It'll just be remnants of the past. It won't be, Rome is still here. That landmass is still going to be here. But
what does the fiddler on the roof say?
Traditions. Traditions.
So what is the world without tradition?
Yeah, what is the world without tradition?
Like a fiddler on a roof.
Like a fiddler on the roof. Now, Jesse, so you want to say goodnight?
Yeah.
I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to say something, and you're not going to like it. Because I'm going to double down.
I'm going to tune out then?
Yourselves, and remember, everybody loves somebody, and I love you all very, very much. Good night, and God bless you.
God bless you, Dean Martin, and thank you for bringing joy into our life. And thank you for all of the traditions that you gave us. And I hope that tradition and that love for America rubs off on Mike and rubs off on Lloyd Evans as well.